Thanks, man. I'm with the baby. She actually in the back right there. I pray. I told them, I said, listen, she got her friend in the back. So I told them, I know we probably live already, but I told them, I said, hey, we give y'all whatever y'all want. Just don't come back here. So, because if you come back here, the views going to go up. But it will work right now, right? We do the Lord's work, you know. So, man, yo, thank you so much for being here right now. Ladies and gentlemen on YouTube and Facebook, we are here with Byron. Is it Byron?
Yeah, Byron.
Byron, Jamal. Man, I did a podcast with you about a couple months back or a month back. Time is flying. And it was really good. It was really good. It was very, very informative. I had the pleasure of being on your platform. It's only right that, you jump back on. And that's what we do in this field. That's what we do, and that's how you grow. And I don't have all the answers, and that's one thing that people understand. I don't got all the answers. You don't got all the answers. But when we come together and we start working together, then we can provide resources to both of our audience so they can learn from excellent things, right? So I don't want to talk so much because I talk a lot. Please tell our audience who you are, what you do, and just all the amazing things.
Well, brother, if you didn't talk a lot, you probably wouldn't be in this field. So it's all good. I'm Byron Jamal. I talk a lot too. I'm a former pastor turned love coach. I help people find love in three ways: upwardly with God, inwardly with themselves, and outwardly with others. And as those three pillars are the hallmark of what I really do and what makes me affectionately called the Love Guru, helping people really connect in those ways. So glad to be on with my brother, man. It was a great talk when you were on my platform. I'm so glad to be on with you today to talk to all of the people that follow and support you.
Yeah. Man, for the audience, for the people out there, tell me how well dressed he is. I'm over here, I'm looking plain, right? My man is nice hat on, well dressed. This is why you came out with you launched the book, Dating Men, right?
Yes.
Give us give us an idea what the book is about.
So look, part of the reason why I dress up, I can't help it. I grew up in church. I'm a church boy. I'm a former pastor. This is what I do. This isn't even a try. It's just, if an athlete would wear what they wear. So on my book though is really important to me as a man who understands the needs of both men, anybody who wants a man. So whether it's a man or a woman who wants a man, the importance of really being able to define what a man is. It was really important for me to write this book for one key reason, because that a lot of people think that gay men, straight men, bi men, whatever men, we're so fundamentally different. The truth is that so much is the same. So this being the first inclusive book for anybody who wants a man was really vital so that you could find, attract, and keep, which is important, really keep the man that you deserve. And I say deserve very strategically because a lot of people will choose a man and not the one that they deserve in their life. So I wanted to make people not only knew their own value, but found a valuable man.
Yeah. But how do you even get to that point, right? Let's say someone wants a relationship, right? They want a relationship, man or woman, they want that love. How do you identify, right? Because you said A, and then you said the right one. So how do you identify?
Well, most of what we do, which is an error, is choose a man. And that's because we haven't really defined what is good. When we say a good man, we haven't really defined what a good man is. So what is good? Is good the person that looks amazing? Is good the person that drives something really nice? Is good the person that has a fancy title behind their name or in front of their name? Is good the person that has a good education and background? Or is good, more holistically, the person that makes you feel right? The person that treats you well, the person that honors their parents, the person that has good friends that are that hold them accountable, is a good person, someone who knows how to budget wisely and invest in things that are going to secure their future. See, our definition of good is too narrow. It's based on things that can change in a moment, because those good looks can wane, because that title can be stripped away, because that degree that you think you're holding on to, they could not get a job with that degree at all. And so all the things that we hold as good good in our society today are very narrow-minded and not really based on things that can last.
Yeah. And a lot of times what I realize is that a lot of people, when they get out of a relationship and they say, well, the next person I'm going to be with, I'm going to have a good man. But they're basing that on what they didn't receive in their last relationship.
Yes.
If they're basing that what they didn't receive in the last relationship, is it really a good man? Or is it the man that you didn't have from your past, or the man who broke you? Right?
It's the rebound, brother.
Exactly.
It's the rebound.
It's the rebound for me.
You end up choosing people in those situations when you're rebounding. You end up focusing more on what you don't have. And whenever you focus on what you don't have, you end up giving more power to that thing. So you end up neglecting what's missing in the person that you actually appreciated about the last person.
Yep.
And so you end up doing the same thing over again, just with different character traits.
So what advice would you give someone who's looking for love?
I would say go back to yourself. Understand what loving yourself feels like, what it looks like. If you have a good self-love regimen, then you can better explain to others and explain to yourself how you deserve and desire to be loved. A lot of people don't know what they really need to be loved because they're not loving themselves effectively. And so it's easy. Like if you said, well, how do you define beauty? And you just say that you're beautiful, then it's easy to say what is beautiful based on your own looks. A lot of people haven't defined beauty in themselves, and so it's really hard to define beauty outside of themselves.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of people who think they love themselves, but they don't, and it's not the words that kind of fulfill it, the actions that they take, right? So what kind of steps can you take? Say, you know what, Byron, I've been trying to love myself, but I keep running back to toxic people in relationships, and and I'm just bad at this loving yourself. What advice would you give them?
So I actually have a book called The 7 Steps to Ultimate Self-Love. And the first step in that is acceptance. I take it from the 7 steps from the creation of the world in the Bible. So the creation story. And in the beginning, God saw that the world was dark and formless. First thing God did was accept the darkness. A lot of us don't accept that we have this darkness over us, this lack of self-love, this poor decision making, poor choices in who we choose to welcome in, not having healthy boundaries. We don't really accept that. And so the first step is really accepting the reality of what is, right? So accepting this is how I choose. This is how I have made bad decisions. These are the bad decisions that I've made. This is why I made them when I made them. When you start doing that, then you can begin to do the second step, which is articulate. You can begin to speak, let there be. So out of the darkness, then God could say, let there be. But God couldn't really speak, let there be, until there was a very clear definition of what was.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are speaking, let there be, before we've defined what was. And so we don't have the clearest definition of what our let there be should be. So some people are saying, let there be a man, or let there be a woman in my life. And we haven't really defined what that man or woman should look like. And so because you haven't defined what it was that you don't want, because when you know what you don't want, you know clear what you do want.
Yep.
So when you haven't really defined what you don't want, the ask comes into your life with less clarity. And having less clarity then means you get an answer, but not the one that you really wanted. You get part of an answer. You get partial answers. A lot of people are choosing partial people that fit something, but not everything they really need. And so that is the first 2 steps. Just alone, if someone begins to implement those 2, they would already be leaps and bounds ahead of where they were when they just went off and tried to get on a dating app and go for it.
You hear that? You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? You guys are dating and settling for partial people. You know, partial needs everybody. That's like 50%, 20%.
That's right.
You're not getting a whole thing. You're getting partial, right? Partial. Like in a restaurant, you say, "Hey, let me get some partial rice, right? Let me get some partial chicken. Let me get a little piece of this, right?" And I 100% agree with the acceptance, right? Because you have to get to a point in your life where you're accepting things the right way, right? You accept what's done with you in the past, and you're kind of giving yourself permission to kind of go full force. and accept what you don't want and what you do want in relationships. And that
Exactly.
goes analyzing, what you want. That's really, really good. That's really good. So you can't skip over that stage, can you?
No. Look, the whole point of that, just like that's why I use the creation story. Everything was absolutely essential in the sequence that it came in, and to skip a step is to, like I said, miss out on the full potency of what you're trying to do next. So, yes, let's say it was at the end of a race, you were supposed to have a full cup of water.
Mm-hmm.
If you skip a leg of it, let's say you cheated and you skipped a part of the race that you were supposed to go to. You were supposed to stop at 7 different things to get your cup filled up a little bit more. If you come to the race at the end and you don't have the full cup, what we end up trying to do is go back to one of the other steps and try to overcompensate and pull out of that one thing more to overcompensate for what we didn't do in another place. So you end up having people, for instance, giving more of themselves than they normally would give to someone very soon because they know they didn't do the work. That's one thing. Another thing they may do is they may let people in who they normally wouldn't let in. Breaking their own boundaries, breaking their own value system, allowing things they wouldn't ordinarily allow because they haven't done the work of really accepting what they've done. And so they end up at the end of the line pulling on things and on people who haven't really accepted the fullness of themselves. And you haven't accepted the fullness of yourself. And because you are crossing the line without a full cup, you can't win. And that's the difference. It just won't work. It won't win. Even no matter how hard you try to force it, it won't win.
Yeah. And that's like, and the thing about it is a lot of people like to force love, healing, and a bunch of things out of empty people. Right. And people are empty. They're empty emotionally, physically, spiritually. Right. And they try to force love and they end up hurting themselves. And then you ask people, and I know you're a coach as well, and we're going to get into that in the next question. And when you speak to people, they well, I've been trying. I thought I could have changed her. I thought I could have changed him. I thought I could have did this. I thought I was Superman or Superwoman in order to make this relationship work. But a lot of us, we drain ourselves trying to force people or try to force love out of empty people.
Yes.
Right? And you're a coach. So tell me about an experience that you had when you kind of like helped someone, who was broken, into a successful relationship, or not even a relationship, right? Because a relationship, I'm sure that you teach people that the most successful relationship is with themselves.
Oh, yes.
Ain't with the next. And the next is with themselves. So my thing is, give me an example of a man and a woman, because they both are different when it comes to healing.
Yeah. Right? So I had 2 clients that I reference in this book who were in differing spaces, but both looking for a man. One was Byron. He was a very successful guy, had a great ambitions, had done all the right things, checked off all the boxes for a lot of people, but simply was not attracting the type of people, the type of men who were compatible. And he was going on endless dates and trying and simply wasn't feeling the magic and wondering why it wasn't working. Then I had Tiffany, who she was going through something similar. She had done well for herself. She was successful. She had started 2 different businesses that were both doing well. And the men in her life were just dogs. They were they were bad apples. And it was one of those situations where she just didn't understand, again, why. In both of those situations, we had to go back to some root issues. And I tell people this all the time. Your therapist may tell you this too, that a lot of things that you see in your life were patterns that were created and formed in your childhood. And the truth is that a lot of us have things that we have unresolved, what I call unchecked baggage. Yeah. A lot of us have baggage that we simply haven't claimed. And you know that when you take a good trip, you are supposed to claim the baggage after you come off the plane.
Just don't leave.
You're supposed to claim it, right? Yeah. A lot of people, when they leave one flight, leave one relationship, they don't claim that baggage. They don't claim it. They don't own it. They don't process it. They don't deal with it. Yeah. And so really having with both of them to check the baggage, to see, open the bag up, see what's in there, see why they took what they took, because wherever you go, when you take bags, you always pack stuff you feel like you're going to need. Nobody ever takes anything and says, oh, I won't need this umbrella. It will never, it's going to rain, but I'm not going to take this umbrella. Like everybody takes what they feel like they need. So whatever was in there, you felt like you needed at one point in there, in that moment. And so you got to ask yourself, well, why did I put this here? Mm-hmm. And that's the work we did. We for both of them, we did very centered work, very targeted work around finding out why these things were essential. Yeah. Because once they understood that, so I often talk about love languages. People want to know their love languages, and that's great. I encourage that, knowing the love language of you and your partner. But I often say this, that love languages are now something I use to teach people where their areas of deficiency are. Because fundamentally, as a whole person, you should be able to know every love language and be able to receive every love language in full. See, people who have very low levels of touch, and that's not something that they receive well. You got to ask, well, how did you grow up where touch wasn't in the home? Were you touched inappropriately as a child, and now it's caused you to not receive touch in a healthy way? And so that the work we did was now, okay, now that we know this, now that we're clear about your baggage, now let's not use that as a reason to not grow. Let's find out if we can improve you on these other love languages so that the man who comes, who may be an amazing 10 for you in your life, but because his form of affirmation of love is something that you struggle with in your past, now we got to see if we can level you up, not try to change them, but level you up to where you can embrace love in full and with fullness and totality.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing, right? The ability to tackle issues from the past and the to identify them wholeheartedly without any saying to yourself, like, I don't really want to do. You don't understand how much you're blocking the right people from entering your life. And I'm not even talking about romantic relationships.
Yes.
Sometimes I tell people, listen, my advice can go for friends, family members, brother, sister, niece, nephew, or whoever it is. Relationships is relationships, right? But romantic relationships is a little bit more deeper, is because there's love. You want love. You want that one person. That's why it hurts so much when the person cheat on you or they betray you or they lie to you. It hits you because in your mind, this person's my everything. I can't live without this person. And I'm sure you heard as a coach, I don't know how I'm gonna live without them. When I hear that, I'm like, you doing it right now?
You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. I had somebody ask me, they said, Byron, I haven't heard from my boyfriend in 5 days. I said, I don't understand where we are. I said, you're nowhere. Like, you don't have a relationship. 5 days. So you're already doing it. You've already done it 5 days. I like that. We're going 5 more days. 5 more days.
Nowhere. I don't know where you tell him, you tell me.
Nowhere.
Exactly. And, people know when they have to move on and when they have to heal, right? They know it, right? And the reason why is because they book us.
Yes.
You spend all this money to book us, and you know that there's a problem. But I'm not going to say hate, but I don't like the fact that when you come on here, you try to get them back. I'm not a get back person. So when you come to me,
we're not going to
tell you it's time for you to separate, elevate. If they can meet you where they're at, right, then it's okay. But right now, so, not to go off topic, but tell me about the most challenging. I believe every book has that one chapter that people are reading that. Because if I read that, I'm going to lose hope.
Yeah.
When I read that, I ain't going to change, and I want to keep sobbing. I want to keep crying, right? So what is the most challenging chapter in your book, Dating Men?
Well, the most challenging one that I found my clients have had a struggle with, and the readers, was about the myths of men. And one of the myths is that there are no good men. And I know that seems like it shouldn't be an issue, but a lot of people have the things that they say that is very difficult. It does not match. And there's a level of imbalance with the way they speak and what they want. So you say there's no good men, but you want a man. So you're saying you want something fundamentally that's not good. Why would you want something that's not good if you don't believe? But then the myth is that there are, because you've had good fathers, you've seen good leaders, you've had good bosses, Your little nephew is a young man, so good man, right? So this myth, so that's one. But the other myth is that fundamentally you can just do or say whatever you want and not see something come back into your life that you've spoken or that you've asked for. So, for instance, when you have said, I'll never find a good man, I say that your words work for you. They're little worker bees that go off and go after what you ask for. And while the universe is very much so vibrational, so it doesn't really recognize words. It's the energy behind your word that the universe is sending back to you. So when you say there are no good men and I will never find a good man, the universe says you don't want to find a good man. So it does everything in its power to serve you and ensure that the good man that was at the grocery store goes down the other aisle. While you're going up one, they're going down another. That online profile, they never see yours, or when they see it, they're busy, distracted, and they swipe on you and not even really even looking. There are so many things that work contrary to you because you had the energy that said you can't. So that is why it's a struggle, because people don't want to accept that 99% of what it is that's blocking them from having real love in their life, 99% of that is them. Yeah. It is not other people. It is not how bad they are. It is not how inconsistent they are. It is you. It is always you. It is always you. And when you realize that, you attract in your life, everything you see in your life, you've attracted. You got to ask why.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because a lot of us, we don't take responsibility for our actions and we love to blame other people. Yes. And when we blame other people, we don't grow from that. We only grow from what we do within ourselves. So a lot of us, we complain and be like, they're responsible for changing me. They broke my heart. He broke my heart. She killed me. And then in your mind, it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, what's your responsibility? Like, people hate to take responsibilities for their actions. It feels better to blame someone, right? So what are some of the feedback that you got from your book?
Well, one of the things I've heard most fundamentally was the appreciation that it was a co-ed book for both men and women to attract men. And so that's been a good applause. The other piece is that ownership piece that we're just mentioning now, is the ability to realize that you have more power than you're giving yourself credit for. So on one hand, while it's difficult to accept that you're the reason why you don't have love, it is also at the same time empowering to know that you are the reason why you can have love. And so when you realize while you are, it may be difficult.
I'm about to throw out a window. All right,
it is difficult to accept that you are the reason you don't have love, but it is very empowering to know you are the reason why you can have love.
Yeah.
And that right there, when you realize your power, I say take up your throne, get on your throne and take up your mantle, because you have the power to bring it into existence in your life. In fact, love is everywhere. It is all around you. And when people read the book, they realize, man, these things I've been doing have been counterproductive. Okay, these things are fundamental, Byron. I realize that just at my core, I haven't been thinking right. I haven't been moving right. I haven't been acting right. Have been saying the right things. And so they're just encouraged that it's not so difficult, that they don't have to master 20 different tips and tricks and schemes and learn mind control and to get a man to act right. That it really is when you change and you become more clear and certain with who you are, and you take more ownership of your life and your decisions and your actions and your words, when you mature, then your relationships mature.
Yeah. That's what I tell people, right? Both men and women, you got to take your power back.
Got to.
You got to grab it, and it's not easy. I tell people this is a fight. When you're going through, it's a fight. And a lot of times in life, and your situation will beat you up. It will beat, and you just stay there. You just get beaten up again. Put your guards up.
Yes.
Back. Right. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to start fighting back. And what you said was just excellent. If anybody can get something from that right there, right? You have the power to change it. Man, that is huge, right? So what about non-negotiables, right? Let's get into that, because a lot of different non-negotiables, and it makes and break relationships, right? So Let's get into the non-negotiables.
So there are non-negotiables, and I think those things that we sometimes define as non-negotiables really aren't, because we allow them, we have allowed them, and we will allow them. I think we have two categories. We have things I don't fundamentally like, and things that are non-negotiables. And I think people blur the lines on those way too much. So I do believe that a relationship is very much so not about what you like about a person, because you can like anything about anybody, right? You can find something to like about anybody. So it's not about what you like about a person, what you don't like but can handle. And so when you realize your own strength, you realize what you can handle. And that is the thing, right? So a non-negotiable simply is something I fundamentally don't have the strength to handle that someone else might. So for instance, you have people that still want to sleep with multiple people in a relationship. There are other people that want that. That's not a problem. Their strength level on that, it parallels what this person wants. So now your non-negotiable, your area of inner weakness, I know that sounds bad, but weakness is actually someone else's strength. And so that's how we have to look at it. Look, if you give a baby a 50-pound weight, they're not strong enough to handle it. Now, it's not saying that they're bad because they can't handle it. It just means that they're not in a place of strength to handle it. Doesn't mean they are bad. It just means that they aren't at the strength level to handle the weight of what's being presented to them. Wherever you are in your life, your non-negotiables can change based on your strength levels. And that's what we have to understand. Yes, we have some core things that are just fundamental values that we hold to, and we will always hold to those. Those are areas that we are always fine with being weak in. So if you're somebody that doesn't want somebody who's going to lie, somebody who's going to cheat, stay weak in those areas. What I'm saying is don't become strong being able to deal with that kind of stuff. Stay weak. Stay weak in handling that stuff, right? Other areas you can deal with, that you can grow in, that you can get stronger in, being more patient. Learning that they do some silly stuff sometimes. They tell bad jokes. They overtalk you. There are things you can gain more strength and patience in those things. So when I have the conversation about non-negotiables, it's more of a conversation not about morality, but more about areas of strengths and weaknesses within yourself. So where am I strong? Where am I weak? Where am I okay with being weak? Right. And where do I feel like I need to get more strength?
And I think one thing that you didn't say is try to change someone.
Never.
I hear that.
Never. I don't hear me say that.
No.
Ever.
I want people to understand that, right? Right. I want people to understand that. I want people to understand the fact that, don't ever try to change someone just so they could become your non-negotiable. And I've seen people do that. You know what? It ain't that bad, but I'm sure if the relationship keep going,
they'll get better.
They gonna get better. I'm sure. I'll make sure of that. So now I guess you God, right? You're not even praying about it. You're just saying, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna love. I'm gonna care about that person. I'm gonna invest in that person. I'm gonna pour into that person until they see that I'm husband or wife material, and then they'll change their behavior. And before you know it, a decade passed, right? Time goes by, and then you forget it.
Forget, brother.
And then 2 years pass. You know what? I didn't like that, and you run around a toxic and unhealthy relationship, man. So what is one big best, right? Before we leave, what is some really good advice, right? Last piece of advice, something juicy, something when they hear it, they fall out, right? They fall out. I know, Byron. I know you got one. What's one?
Well, let me just say this. One of the things you can do to really empower your life and begin becoming an attraction magnet, to really have people wanting you in your life and wanting you in their lives and wanting to be around you, wanting to get to know more about you, is being confident in yourself. Now that sounds simple, but what I'm saying is being able to do this, love yourself completely, wholly, and fully, the good and bad, the indifferent, the quirks, the idiosyncrasies, the things that make you cringe sometimes about yourself. One thing I learned is that when you can fully be invested in who you are, other people will want to invest in who you are. And that is what I always lead with when it comes to helping people redefine and reshape how they approach living. A lot of us do this, and this is why I say this. A lot of us do this. We have an image of what good should look like in us. So we have this image of our lives that we think it should be, right? Who we should be, how we should be, what it should look like. We have this image of what life should look like. But I say naturally that when you're walking a path that is for you, a path that leads to success or achievement in an area, you're not worried about what the destination is looking like. You're worried about getting to the destination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so too many of us along each step are worried about the finish line instead of worrying about mastering each step. And so stay on the path. And I use this analogy for this. If you're in college and it's your first year, your first class, don't be so concerned about graduation day when you have a class in front of you that you need all of your presence to be in to master the course that will ultimately lead you to graduation day.
Yeah.
So stay focused on what's at hand. You trying to change a man so that he can be ready to be your husband and your 5 kids that you want to have in 20 years. But what you need to be focused on is, how does this man make you feel now?
Yeah.
So this present moment, being fully aware of who you are, what you want now, because some people choose people based on who they are going to be instead of choosing someone what they want now. Like, if you're a partier right now, then why are you trying to choose somebody that likes to stay home all the time? And you're like, well, they're going to help me change into somebody that, I can settle down. Change it for yourself. Change it because you want it. In fact, it's better to go find somebody that's also a partier so y'all can change together if that's what y'all want to do. But don't try to rope somebody into your change, okay? To try to be your counselor. That is not their job. So yes, go after the self that is you, falling in love with who you are, where you are right now in this moment. Stop trying to bring people into your life who are going to be the next version of yourself that you're not really sure you want to walk into.
Yeah. And love who you are. You want to change yourself, but you want somebody to replicate that person that you're. So then you're not gonna like them. Why are you
not
doing
at all.
Why are you doing it?
Yes.
Right? It's the same thing. A lot of people, you still have to date their reality, right? You're dating for the potential, for whatever they are right now, but you still have to date their reality. Man, I enjoy this live so much. I'm sure that the viewers enjoyed it a lot. The comments were coming in. People loved it. But I want them to know where they can find you, to get the book, to hear more about you, coaching, anything that you have to offer. Let them know.
Absolutely, man. Thank you again for having me on, Keishorne. This is always good. It's always good to be on with another Black man talking about love and dating and relationships. I do believe love is supposed to be very much so easy. So I'm easy to find at byronjamal.com and at Byron Jamal on social media. Feel free to reach out. I'm just out here trying to help ordinary people find extraordinary love, inwardly, outwardly, and upwardly. So link up with me.
Excellent, man. Thank you so much. Guys, ladies, and gentlemen, just type his name into Google. You'll find him. Type it into Instagram. You'll find him. And type him into Facebook and you'll find him. That's pretty much how easy it is on social media and how the internet, right? It's easy. Right?
It's easy.
Right? Don't stalk him now. Don't try to find out where he live at, right? Or whatever it is. I mean, you can send him checks, though.
we don't mind that.
Checks.
Right? Jamal too.
But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to share this video. Share it everywhere, because it will definitely help a soul. It will definitely help someone. It will help someone go from brokenness to wholeness, help them from their dating experience, help them love themselves. And it was really, really excellent tips on how to love who you are and what to accept, right? And I love the tips that you gave, man. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, just watch it. Spend the day watching it. Put it on the big screen and watch it. Byron, thank you so much again for your time, and we'll definitely talk soon.
My pleasure, bro. Be blessed.